Hey guys, this is Catherine and this is Little Bits of Heaven Homestead. So Charles has been asking for an update on the PeaChicks that hatched last week. So this is brought to you by his request. So I have definitely learned a lot over last week. This is my first time successfully hatching PeaChicks. I did hatch 4 in total and I have lost 2. So here is some lessons that I've learned over the last couple days. PeaChicks are stupid. Like literally, they do not come pre-programmed with that ingrained sense of survival. They don't have an instinct to eat or drink, and they need to be taught these skills. And so what was suggested to me by friends after I lost my first PeaChick, I went to Facebook and said, oh my goodness guys, I don't know what's going on. I can definitely tell they're not eating or drinking, and I don't know what to do. And so what was suggested to me was to add other birds to my brooder. So this is my brooder. We are out in my shed. I do not have heat going at the moment. So this heat lamp you see here is not plugged in. I normally only use that in the dead of winter to heat up the ambient air within my shed. More often than not, I use this heat plate. It is a radiant heat plate. This is a Brinsea, but other brands are just as good. In fact, I think I would go with a cheaper one because this one is hard to adjust up and down for different size birds. So, but because it is middle of summer, it's pretty warm out here, they don't need any sort of supplemental heat at this point in time. So things that I have learned: they don't eat, they don't drink unless they are taught. So some tips and tricks that I was given, and it's hard to see here just due to angle, but to put something colorful and or shiny in their water that encourages them to peck at it. So, and then the biggest piece of advice, and this is definitely what saved my other 2 peas, is adding mentor birds. So I have a hatching addiction. I know I've shared that with you guys. So I had chicks, like chicken chicks, that are a little over a month old. This was my best bet at this point in time. So what I did was I went and grabbed 2 of them. I have more out in my transitionary coop, but I thought that 2 would be sufficient. So I brought them in, added them to the brooder, and instantly these PeaChicks cheered up, followed them around. The chickens have very literally taken these PeaChicks under their wings. They have led them to water. So apparently you can lead a PeaChick to water, but it has to see another bird actually drink from that water in order to learn those skills. So not only are they now eating, they're also drinking, thankfully. So depending on what type of bird I have here in my brooder, I will cover it with chicken wire. So I've got some wire over here. Chickens start to fly really young, and I'm assuming that these peas will too. So I am, because I have specifically these chickens in here, I do keep it covered with wire. I just removed it to do this video. If I have ducklings in my brooder, I raise land ducks, specifically runner ducks. They are not birds that fly, so I don't cover it, just for my own ease, so that I can get in here and feed and water without any sort of encumbrance. But with the chickens and or peas, I feel that some sort of cover needs to be there just to keep them in the brooder, because that keeps them safe. So hopefully, and I'm not counting my peas necessarily, even though they've hatched, as I am cautiously optimistic that these 2 will survive. At the very least, one of them looks just superb. The other one I'm still watching, because up until yesterday it hadn't ate or drank, although neither of them had. So fingers crossed that we're going to successfully get these beyond this week. And I've got full confidence that if I can get them through this week, that they will survive. I do have a broody pea hen sitting on a clutch of eggs in my coop. I understand that even under a broody, once they hatch, that she may not do a good job teaching them either. And so all my friends that have raised peas that were giving me advice have strongly recommended that when they do hatch, to go ahead and remove them and add them to the brooder. So what I think I might do is add some, I need to sanitize my incubator from this hatch still, because I had a couple eggs that I left in there a few days extra, just in case they might hatch, but they're not looking good. So I went ahead and unplugged my incubator, emptied it out of its contents. I will sanitize it, and I'm going to set some chicken eggs in there just so I have a batch of mentor chicks, because apparently that is critical to pea survival. So plan of action beyond this, I will let them stay here in this brooder for the next couple weeks, and then I'm going to transition them outside. Rule in the pea world is to keep them on wire for several months. I don't think I'm going to do that. I do have a friend who wants these, and so I'm hoping that if I can get them to survive through the next couple weeks, that I can send her both of these, and fingers crossed that they survive at that point. If my pea hen hatches more, I do have transitionary coops. They're not on wire, they will go on the ground. But the reason you want to keep PeaChicks on wire is because they are highly susceptible to all sorts of diseases. They're finicky birds, they're fragile birds. And so things like blackhead and coccidiosis will take them out quickly. I've never had any disease issues on the homestead, so I'm not too concerned about either of those, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee their survival. So if I could give you any peace of mind, when you bring a new animal onto the homestead, do as much research as you possibly can on the forefront. That does not mean, just because you have book knowledge does not mean that you have all the information that you need. I have found that book knowledge only gets me so far, and real world experience is so much more important. So this is my first real world experience with peas. It did include some losses. Sometimes lessons are hard learned. That really sucks. But it is life, it's homestead life, and this is part of reconnecting us to that circle of life. And because we have been disconnected, death hits us a little harder than it would have, say, 50, 60, 100 years ago. I mean, it was just a part of life at that point in time. I think that we've become a little more emotionally attached to our animals as we have become disconnected with the food supply. So death is hard. It's something that none of us want to really think about or address or talk about. We feel like we're failing if we experience death. But honestly, guys, you can do everything right and still experience death. So as you are homesteading, do keep that in mind, that it's not necessarily a failure on your part. It's a part of the learning process. So you guys can see my chickens and my peas are intermingling well. These chickens have very literally saved the lives of these two peas, at least at this point. That does not guarantee that my peas will survive, but at least they've got a fighting chance right now. So I hope this was something of value to you. I hope that you got some positive and helpful information. If you guys would like, share, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're looking for any ways to help support the homestead, I do have links in our description to not only affiliates of ours, but also our Etsy store, where I have published some of the handmade soaps that I make, along with a bunch of really cool spinning supplies that we carry. And then also our Amazon store, if you guys would bookmark that and use that as your link into Amazon. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's just like doing any sort of Amazon affiliate program. Just for using it as a funnel, they do throw back a couple % of whatever it is you buy. So just easy ways that you can support the homestead, and it is appreciated. So here's my peas. I hope that you appreciated the update, Charles. I hope that your peas are doing well, and we shall talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining me. Have a blessed evening.